Hi and welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be making my predictions about Canada for 2022. So thank you for all of you who've given comments and asked me questions about Canada. I'm not Canadian. I'm a psychic, or medium really, I suppose psychic medium you say nowadays, based in the UK. I've never been to Canada. I don't know much about the country, so forgive me if I come across a bit of an ignoramus sometimes, but these are my kind of psychic insights that I feel about Canada. So correct me if I'm wrong, correct me if you think anything that I'm saying is off the scale, but put your comments always, and if you enjoy these predictions, do follow this channel. I say that straight away because it's going to be quite a long video, but follow this channel because I make lots of predictive videos about all areas of the world, including a general one for the world predictions. So my first thoughts about Canada. So my thoughts about Canada, just a general feel about I feel what Canada is a country. You know, this is just my kind of gut feel, and I don't know how other Canadians feel about this, but Canada's sort of a country, I feel, with a massive potential. But my feeling is it's really been kind of held back. And I kind of feel the spirit of the age of Canada is one kind of frustration with itself, because much of its being held back and much of its not achieving its aims is of its own making. So my thoughts are that 2022 is going to be a year where there's going to be a call for and the beginnings of reform. Reform is needed, and I feel there's going to be a gradual development of a much more aggressive sort of stance towards things like international affairs, and also a lot of questions internally over its politics and its inability to make proper decisions. So my feeling is, because of your compromised position, you're basically, as a country, being walked over by everybody else. Politics in 2022. Right, in 2022, I see, I have already mentioned this, but I see Trudeau, your Prime Minister, implicated in a scandal of some sort. I've already mentioned this in my main videos. So I saw a sort of scandal of some kind, and I wasn't quite sure what I was seeing with this at first. I thought at first perhaps this is going to be something very personal with him, but now I kind of get the feeling it's something to do with China. Could it be that he's been compromised by Chinese money? That there's been some form of brown envelope handed to him with money in it? You know, I feel something in 2022 is going to be revealed to show that he's implicated in accepting money and favors. And I feel, you know, this is Chinese money, and I think it might go back a bit too. And even the election, the previous election, I feel may have been compromised by Chinese money, perhaps put into advertising, perhaps put into social manipulation on social media and things like that. So that's my first feeling. And I don't, you know, this could put his presidency kind of at jeopardy. I think he's walking an absolute tightrope. Now, I've got it wrong before with Trudeau, so I'm always a little bit skeptical with what I say about myself, you know. I still get that feeling. I don't think he's got that long. I feel there's going to be much more of a move to the right in politics eventually in Canada. It might take the whole of 2022 before we actually get there, but I think it's going to be a much more there's going to be a real call, like I said at the top of this video, a real call for better leadership, you know, stronger ideas. The person I felt before, and I still feel is going to be pretty strong in Canada, is Doug Ford. I don't know much about him. I just looked at his photograph and thought, what's this guy all about, you know? And I feel he's going to gain prominence in Canadian politics. He could be, I think, re-elected. I think he's up for stand sometime in June 2022. I think he'll be re-elected. And I think him and the likes of him, similar type of mindsets, I think are going to become much more dominant in Canadian politics. It's like we're crying out for strong leadership. I think a new leader is going to emerge in Canada to take on Trudeau particularly, and will win against him. But I don't think it's necessarily the Doug Ford. It's somebody completely new, because I keep getting this feeling that somebody out of the blue is going to be a really unexpected candidate for Prime Minister. This person, now I think, I just get feelings you might want to comment about this, because I don't know much about Canadian politics at all, but I just get this feeling that this person's going to be a male, and he'll be known kind of for his compassion, as it were, and also his openness to new ideas, but also very strong ideas, strong, clear perspective about what's needed to be achieved. He's going to be someone that's going to champion particularly high tech. He's going to champion a development in the pharmaceutical companies and the film industry, because I get the feeling there's money going to be put into the film industry anyway in Canada. But these kind of new industries are going to gradually take over as oil begins to decline over the years ahead. I think there's kind of hidden forces also in Canada that have been sowing a lot of division, I mentioned about this money from China, corrupt industries taking money to enhance this kind of division. In fact, I think China is sowing social unrest around the world using its political, using its economic clout and its political intrigue. Even in India, I talked about this. So I think also there's some of this money, and it could be also Russian as well, possibly, has been also put into the Alberta separatist movement. And I think that this kind of has been influencing things for, let's divide Canada up, and same with Quebec and things like that. But my feeling is this things won't succeed. My feeling is that Canada will remain a united country certainly in my lifetime, and for my feeling for the foreseeable future. So I don't see places like Quebec, Alberta, and others that might feel sort of like that breaking apart. I feel there's going to be more unity. This is all to do at the moment with weakness of leadership, in my feeling. In fact, talking about Quebec, I had a feeling that there's going to be a kind of very big kind of cultural revival, and I feel it's kind of in the French-speaking part of Canada, particularly, like I said, the film industry and the arts. And I feel a feeling of really exemplary artistic development and new artists coming to the fore, both in the music industry and in film and in painting and sculpture. I feel like Quebec, it's felt to me, or somewhere in Canada, but I think it's Quebec, is going to be kind of like a big cultural city for the future. So basically, on the political side, I want to say that united we stand, divided we fall. And I feel that Canada will remain united. COVID and the pandemic. Now, I know there's a lot of unrest in Canada about this idea of the lockdowns and the passport system that's being talked about there for COVID vaccines and things. Now, I think this social unrest will continue. I think people will feel their democratic freedoms have been compromised somewhat. But I feel it continuing, because as I'm speaking today, this restrictions being put into Austria in Europe. And my feeling is that there's going to still continue to be heavy restrictions on this, and even more restrictions put with COVID passports and events right through into the summer, right through 2022, being restricted if you haven't got COVID vaccine. You can't go to big sport events, you can't go to theatre groups and things like that. And I also feel there's much heavier entry restrictions for unvaccinated travellers coming to Canada. There's going to be still that lockdown mentality ahead. Foreign affairs. Now, 2022, I feel, will see a big influx of immigrants from Hong Kong. I know this is already kind of happening, but I think there's going to be further troubles in China and Taiwan. And I think Canada's going to be one of the places where people are going to be seeing as a safe haven. Now, I know, like all countries in the world, there are conflicts and disagreements about, whether cultural mixing really works always. But I think this is actually going to be very good for Canada, particularly for the immigrants from the places like Hong Kong and Taiwan and so on. And I think this will be good because I see Canada moving much towards being much more high-tech, IT, artificial intelligence type of developments, and I'm seeing the financial services industries being developed more in Canada too. So all of this, I think, will be helped by the intellectual expertise coming in from Hong Kong. Now, I think the economy is going to be a very important part of Canada's way ahead with foreign affairs. I see a big trade deal being done, and I think it will be done with Taiwan at first. And particularly as Canada starts to develop these similar industries to Taiwan, circuit boards and manufacturing up to a point. And I think Canada may also get drawn into what I've predicted already as some of the upcoming conflicts regarding Taiwan, because I predicted in my other videos that there's going to be a clash between the USA and Taiwan, and a lot of the wall, there's going to be an economic wall coming down with China. And I think all this sort of anti-Chinese rhetoric that's going to be around in 22 is going to really shape Trudeau's position, for example. So I think it will also become apparent, and I think it will also become big news in 2022, that like so many countries, we've had it here in the UK as well, but China's been buying out assets around the world, and has been buying out assets in Canada. And again, I see a lot of corruption with this. I see a lot of backhanders going on with this. And I think people will start saying, hey, Canada has been compromised. Where's our great Canadian brands? Where's our Canadian industries? Where's our Canadian free will, So I see that as becoming a big issue in 2022. I know also that there's the CANS UK, is it called something like that, alliance? I see that kind of becoming much stronger. This is something I've talked about before in my general videos for the world. I predicted that it won't be just Canada, it won't just be Australia, it won't just be New Zealand or the United Kingdom that will become part of this, but also I see in the future India becoming part of it, the USA becoming part of it, South Africa becoming part of it. I've predicted already that I see a kind of like it was equivalent of what the British Empire was, but without the British Empire at the heart, without Britain at the heart of it. It will be, it will be the emerging economies, particularly, that have a lot of power to say in this. So I see a lot more trade happening like this, which would mean ultimately, and I don't think it's all going to be 2022, but this is what I see beginning. And I think ultimately the deals will be made between Canada with all of those countries, and particularly in 2022 I see a big deal being done between Canada and the UK, and this will become kind of a model for other countries to follow. I also see new conflicts with Russia over the north. I'd see a deal being made between Russia and Canada over this, but I really feel that it's going to compromise Canada's position. These transport shipping routes that we talk about, across the north, I think this is all going to be contested. And I think Canada will make very bad decisions about this, will respond with weak leadership again, and I think there's going to be a lot more conflicts over the poles and over the north of the country. Also regarding foreign affairs, me being a foreigner here in the UK, I think Canada will still remain loyal to the British monarchy when the Queen dies, because I think we're going to lose the Queen in 2022, or certainly within a year or so. And even if Charles becomes king, I think the Canadians will still retain the monarch as their in the same role as it's got now, as part of the ex-British Empire and ex-British Commonwealth. So so I feel there's good strong links between Britain and Canada, and I feel Canada's going to have to and will do, I think, shift a lot of its focus about how it deals with foreign affairs. We still have I feel very weak leadership under Trudeau personally. That's my gut feeling with him. Never liked the man myself, but I feel that because I just feel it feels false to me. He feels false, and I just get this horrible feeling something's going on in the background there. But anyway, so I'm seeing a bit of a weak leadership, just like I feel there's weak leadership in the USA. But I think this might be helped in time. I don't think it'll be overturned in 2022, but I think his premiership will be very, very weakened indeed. Social changes. Now, this will sound a bit controversial to you, I think, because we got the same problem here in the UK. And I think Canada and the UK got very, very similar problems, my feeling is. I feel that in 2022, there's going to be a movement away from this woke mentality over 2022. Now, in particular, I particularly feel that there's going to be calls to start to become, I don't know, a bit more traditional in the way we think about how we bring boys up, for example, in school. And it's happening here in the UK too. You might not agree with this, but put your comments. But I think there's been a move here in the UK, and I feel it's exactly the same thing that's undermining Canada, is that it kind of has been a feminization of boys, in schools. And it's weakening some countries, and I think it's weakening our next generations. And we're already seeing the sort of the kickback from this already. Because, girls and boys, equally good, but they're different. And I think boys need competition. They need the idea of competitiveness. They need the idea that winning is good and not a bad thing. And sometimes having to be a bit aggressive with what you get is sometimes necessary in the world. And the whole thing has been that all masculinity is bad. Anything that boys do is bad. They've got to be like girls. And boys are beginning to lose their way and think, well, maybe I've got to do this gender choice thing and be a girl. They're losing their sense of identity, and that's not to undermine women. Women equal, of course they are. But, boys have to approach things in a different way, In the ancient past, it was the idea of chivalry, that boys protected the girls. They weren't aggressive to other people. They weren't aggressive to women. That was seen as a pariah when they did that. No, but they were protective. So I think we've got to get that idea of confidence back in the young. For both genders. But, I feel that's going to be a big, big question in Canada, because I think more people are going to start talking about this and saying that it's one of the reasons the country feels weak. It can't make decisions. Its males, particularly, can't make decisions. And females make decisions as well. Of course they do. But, this is where I think there's a weakness, a fundamental weakness in the way things are going. Now, that's controversial. Give me your comments. Tell me if you think I'm an idiot. But that's my feeling with that. So I think there's a sort of a need for general old-fashioned common sense, which I think is undermining politics. Everybody's trying to look good. Everybody's trying to be the most politically correct and have the most politically correct agenda. And I think this political correctness, and forgive me if I'm wrong, because I don't know much about Canada, but my guess is, my feeling is, my insight, my intuition tells that this is a dangerous, dangerous thing. Now, that doesn't mean we can't and shouldn't have an inclusive society, but for all the sexes and also for all the racial groups, because I feel that the Indigenous people in Canada are being badly overlooked, badly abused. And I see that this is still going to continue in 2022. And I hope that those listening to this might feel a need to try to come to the support of the Indigenous people of Canada. And one of the things I have to say about this is that the Indigenous people of Canada worshipped the earth. They worshipped the world. They worshipped nature. They worshipped all the things that we from the European civilizations have been stomped all over. And I think there's something very dangerous in that. There's very, very bad karma, not just for Canada, but for the world. Because when we see that nature is no longer sacred, we lose something spiritually, not just in ourselves, but something in that idea of Gaia, the power of the earth, you know. And Canada is one of the great, beautiful, natural reserves of the earth. And I feel that there's a lot of energy there that could help the world karmically. So we have free will, and I think we need to act upon the sins of the past that were done against the Indigenous people, and act for the good of all. So I do feel I want to call out that as a call out for the Indigenous people of Canada. I always feel, because like I say, basically Canada's lost its backbone. This is its dilemma. This is where, if you were to look at Canada as a person, this is where it's gone wrong. You've lost your backbone, mate. You've lost your free will. You've lost your confidence, you know, and it's become weak. It's become apologetic. Sorry, I'm English. I'm not Canadian, but you know, that's what I'm seeing. And I think this is all to do with compromised politics, anti-nationalistic type of movements. I mean, I think separatism is what the enemies of democracy want, don't they? The Chinas of this world, you know, divide and conquer. And that doesn't, what I'm moaning about here is doesn't just apply to Canada, it applies to my own country and many other countries, and America too. And now these things I'm talking about won't change completely by any means in 2022. But I think a change to a prouder, more confident nation will eventually come for Canada, and it's desperately, I feel, needed. There will be one day in the world, and I've spoken about this before, there will be, I feel, in my lifetime, I think it will happen. I think it will happen probably within the next 10 years, actually. But I think there's going to be a worldwide spiritual awakening to the world, a real rethink of who we are and what we're doing with this planet. And Canada won't be excluded from this. Canada will be one of those countries 10 to 15 years before it flowers, I think. But in that time, I feel Canada will be part of that great renaissance in consciousness. Another thing I was picking up about social things, actually, is I saw a really horrible thing as well. I saw a sort of criminal group of some sort exposed that's been exploiting children. Something awful that's based in Canada in the most unexpected directions. This is something new, and I'm seeing children being killed. And I tell you what I also saw, which is horrible, but I have to share it with you because I saw this in my visions, and I hope I'm wrong with this, but I also saw cannibalism. I saw cannibalism, something really gross uncovered. So foreign immigration is going to be kind of important from Hong Kong, but I still see resentment in Canada towards other cultures, and particularly towards Islam. I think there will be further tensions. I feel there will be. I know we kind of feel that terrorism is behind us, but I think there's going to be some nasty terrorist outrage in Vancouver. And it's not going to be thousands of people die, but it's still going to be horrible. And I saw, I think I'm talking about gunmen again here in Vancouver in 2022. So sorry to end on that nasty note, but that's what I feel in regards for social changes happening in Canada. The economy. Okay, I know from talking, I have a number of clients that call me from Canada. In fact, some of these, having doing these phone readings all around the world, and some ways gives me a very unusual insight because I'm working in psychically with people around the world, and I get to know some of their worries. But I know that talking to some of my clients who called me from Canada in the past, that there's been really problems with house prices rising. You know, there's been lots of problems with it, and I still see it continuing to rise. And of course, the big question that's on everybody's lips is, when will the bubble burst? Now, I don't think we're going to get that in 2022. I think it's going to happen in 2023. But, you know, timing is you've got to be careful of. Sometimes, like I quite often say with psychic people, we kind of get the timetable, we kind of get the agenda, we get the themes that are coming up, and we get the feeling it may be soon or not soon and so forth. Dating things is very difficult because we have free will. All of the world has free will. So I may have my timing wrong, so be careful. So, but I think there could be a possible problem coming up towards, start to feel it towards the end of 2022. Prices will go up because building resources, I feel, are going to keep soaring. The price of wood, things like that, going through the roof. And I think there will be an attempt, attempt to stop some of the rises, and I don't think this will be fully successful, but I think there will be an attempt to stop some of this price rises by stopping overseas buyers buying in Canada. So that will help prices, you know, stopping American money buying houses and things like that, and Chinese money possibly. Like I say, there's going to be a lot of exposures about those things. When the bubble bursts, that's followed by a huge spike, I feel, in inflation. I don't know if that works economically, but that's what I feel. I feel inflation suddenly starts to happen in all other areas, and there are big hikes in interest rates, with people having overpriced houses that they can't afford and mortgages that are too big, and being negative equity. That's the thing, lots of negative equity. So they're going to be some very difficult times, so be very cautious if you're investing in new property and how you go about it, and look carefully at the type of properties you buy, because I don't think it'll affect everywhere. Some places will be a bit harder than others, so careful, look where prices are more stable if you're buying. Harsh measures would have to be introduced, I feel, but it will not tank the Canadian economy, you know, in the long term. It will come out of it, you know, but it will go through a difficult patch. I think we got that a little bit further ahead, 2023, but that will obviously lead to things like unemployment and things like that. I'm hoping, because, you know, we have free will, I'm hoping that if Canada can sort its political mishmash and mess out, it will become better. Again, I feel in 2022 generally the economy will manage, but there's a lot of clouds on the horizon that I think should be worried about and need to be addressed. And the most important thing to remember, politicians of Canada, if any of you watch this, China is not your friend. Simple. So I think Canada, I've mentioned it kind of a little bit already, but Canada in the coming years will focus on industries such as pharmaceuticals, high-tech industries, electronics. Money will be invested into research and development, I feel, to stop the brain drain to the USA. I think that it's almost like a desperate scramble to stop people running away. And I think that starts to happen in 2022. It's a bit too little too late, but I think that will help stem some of the tide. Money will also be invested, I feel, into private hospitals, right, which will offer cheap medical services to Americans. So, you know, if you're a diabetic in America and you can't afford it, you can get much more subsidized sort of care in Canada. And I think that's going to become quite a big business. And some of the money from those private developments, which will be private hospitals, will also help prop up the ailing, sick public hospitals over there. So I see the government there introducing something which feels to me something like a government-backed medical insurance, but it's not just for Canadians. I feel this is something they'll sell internationally and might be able to sell in America, but it's government-backed. So, you know, an American can, for example, buy a Canadian health policy, and if they're close enough to the border, know that their main health problems can be dealt with in Canada. It's just something like that. I don't know if that's even feasible, but it's just something I get a feeling with that. And I also think there's going to be quite a lot of advances, particularly in the medical fields. I think Canada's actually going to do quite well with research, because I see money going into it, and I feel they're going to make some big breakthroughs in immunology and some of those areas, even cancer possibly, I see coming out of Canada. Economically, I've said this already, obviously it's clear to everybody, the oil industry will decline in the coming years. It's got to, because the world's trying to shift slowly its resources, and then it will have to change. I think there will be a lot of, not so much in 2022, but I think we might start to see the beginning rumbles of this social unrest associated with the oil industry. And I also feel there might even in 2022 be an oil embargo with China, which could be quite serious problem for Canada again. you know. So if these things happen, there would be a lot of unemployment in that industry, and some of the unskilled sectors that I might see, I feel there might be redundancies as well, in and also around the oil industry. But hopefully, longer term, Canada moves towards greater technology-based economy. This will take many years, but I get the feeling that, like I said, these things will begin in 2022. And like I've already said, cinema industry feels like a very powerful thing. If you're investing, that's an area to put your money in at the moment. And I see as if we're going to see some really good movies coming out of Canada. Let's hope so. Netflix is getting very boring. Come on, Canada, give us something we can enjoy. The environment. Already Canada's getting a lot of flooding and things like that, but I see really heavy snows in the winter months of 2022. Maybe in the end of 2021 as well. But I'm also seeing really torrential rain in Canada, really torrential rain. And even though the sea ice, I feel, would be shown to be melting more, but the land ice increasing, the snow increasing. And I feel real bad disruptions with weather in Canada. In fact, I feel there might be an earthquake to the west of Canada. I'm feeling a sense that there could be an earthquake to the west of Canada in 2022. And I mentioned in my main videos that there would be an environmental problem with a damaged pipeline. I also think this is people saying, where's that? I also, again, I feel the west of Canada, there's a pipeline damaged. I don't know whether that's damaged by some environmental thing or it's been attacked or something like that, but I get the feeling of a huge great oil spill that is disruptive and really bad for the environment. This is multiple places, it's not just in one spot, it's like it's been broken in 2 or 3 places. And I also talked in one of my earlier videos about the tundra catching fire, and I just will add here that I don't think that's Canada. I think I'm talking, because I think, was I seeing that for Canada? Because Canada's got tundra. No, I don't think it's the big fire in Canada. I'm seeing a big, because I saw a big pinewood type fire. I think this is going to be Russia, so not Canada. So those who watch me other videos, I'm just going to clarify that there. In summary, in many ways, Canada is like Britain, I think, in an earlier age in some respects. The Canadian, you know, you asked for it. I asked me to make predictions about Canada, guys, so I'm doing it. But actually, Canadians, I feel, are clever people. They're inventive people. They're people, you know, perhaps you might disagree, but I think you've generally got good manners. And I feel Canada, as a spirit, as it were, also has a good sense of justice, you know, and those are good qualities I feel about that distinguish Canada as a country. But I think the theme of 2022 will be that too much is being wasted, too much is being sort of given away to America. Everything is going south, as it were. And I think that, like I say, there will be calls for investment to nurture homegrown talent in Canada. I think this is almost the nub of the problem that I feel is what's going wrong with Canada. I feel that a lot of the things that I've proposed in this video won't all happen in 2022, because I think a lot of these things that I feel will ultimately be the destiny of Canada will take some time to come to fruition. I mean, I don't know much about Canadian politics, so forgive me if I've said a load of codswallop at some points, but my sense is that politics in Canada is completely broken. And like I say, it's lost its backbone, you know? And I think some of those issues I brought up are part of the problem, you know, about social weakness, you know, and not having the sense of that achievement is actually a good thing to do. You know, it's actually good to be sometimes quite aggressively go for it attitude. We can't sort of be indecisive and just wait for it to happen. We've got to become aggressive, almost not aggressive militarily, but you know, we've got to be ambitious. That's perhaps the word I need to say. But also that you know, as well as America, that Canada's also become the lapdog of China. And it bleeds its strength to America. So I see these as the big heart of the matter keynotes for 2022. So I think it's going to be quite a difficult time for Canada. internally about trying to work out what is the right way to go, and I think it lacks basically decent leadership. But I do feel, like I said, you remember I mentioned that I see somebody, I really don't know who it is, you might have some ideas, but I really see someone coming to the fore in Canada who is really strong, really motivated, with really clever economic ideas initially, but also about social ideas, about changing the way we getting rid of some of the weaknesses in the society, which I think will put Canada back on track. So my apologies if I've spoken a bit out of turn sometimes here. These are my intuitive insights. I'm just a bit of a twit from England. But let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think? I've never been to Canada, so maybe I'm just sort of outspoken. But let me know your thoughts and tell me, what direction do you think Canada should go? You know, am I right with what I'm picking up here? Am I completely off point? But those are my feelings. So I've been doing videos for all of the world. You know, I've been doing different countries, even though some of those countries I've never been to. But just asking my intuition, asking for your insights as well. And perhaps between us, we're beginning to get an insight into where we should be going with the world generally. Some of the problems in the world are very, very common, very similar. Well, and also I cannot go without giving my book a plug, can I? You know, my new book, Be Happy. This one actually is not just about me, it's about my holy man I went to see in India. But it's also all about the world, you know, because while I went to India during the pandemic, as I've explained on some of my other videos. I went there during just before the pandemic. I got home in the nick of time, but I then wrote the book during the pandemic, and it's about how my thoughts when I was in India about the future of the world, and when I was visiting Sharavana Baba, who's a fantastic, hilarious, telepathic holy man. And I always believe with gurus and things, you know, you can learn a great deal from them. I'm not a great devotee of any gurus, even Satya Sai Baba, because I always believe ultimately we must see beyond the form to the content, as it were, that we've got to realize it for ourselves. Those are topics I also address, but an awful lot you can learn, and a lot you can learn about happiness and about how we deal with ourselves and the world in these troubled times. Can we be happy, and what really is happiness, and what constitutes a true golden age? You know, all those issues I've kind of addressed in the book. I'll probably do some more like this in future books, but I was reasonably pleased with this book. It seems to be getting some very nice reviews on it from people, so do have a look at that. And if you're new to this channel, do follow it, because there's loads more predictions coming up for other countries in the world, and lots of thoughts. And I've got, you know, I even got some TV companies from other countries asking me to make some predictions for them. But I think this is the place you get the best stuff here, because this is where you can comment. And again, thank you for all your comments. Give us a thumbs up at the same time if you enjoy this video, and don't forget, put your comments below, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon. So bye for now.